Prime Minister of Mauritius, Pravind Jugnauth, has arrived in India as a chief guest for the 15th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is a 3-day diaspora mega event, and Prime Minister Pravind Jugnauth is going to pay a state visit to India. He was received at the airport by Minister of External Affairs State General VK Singh at Varanasi. To talk about the bilateral relations between India and Mauritius, I have with me Senior Fellow from Ministry of Human Resource Development, Ms. Reena Marwa. Ma'am, thank you for talking to us. And how do you see the visit of Prime Minister Pravind Jugnauth?
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, Prime Minister Jugnauth has arrived in India, and he's going to be here for 9 days. So he will also be there for India's Republic Day celebrations. And India is considering 68% of the population of Mauritius is Indian. So therefore India has very close cultural, historical ties with Mauritius. And the strategic location of Mauritius, Port Louis, capital, that is in the Indian Ocean, makes it extremely vital for India's core interests. And especially at a time when China has, been building ports in the Indian Ocean, from Hambantota to other ports in the Indian Ocean, it's extremely important that India continues to be the major partner for Mauritius. And for
Pravind Jugnauth last visited India, I think, on May 2017. And there are also issues like tax havens issue in Mauritius. So are these going to be on the table by the Indian side? It has been on the table for discussion alongside, and you can complete your prior point as well.
Yes. So, of course, Mauritius has been bringing in FDI. India's FDI is coming in from Mauritius. That's the largest, actually, source of FDI for India, and second in terms of portfolio investment into India after the United States. So the issue of tax havens, because of Mauritius's special status, we had a tax treaty with Mauritius since 1982. And after 2017, it was revisited because of the special unique status of because of Indians in Mauritius. There was a tax exemption, capital gains tax exemption. That resulted in a lot of shell companies and what you call letterbox companies being situated in Mauritius to take advantage of the tax exemptions. And hence, because of in the international arena, there has been a BEPS, that is a profit sharing kind of agreement which came into force, and that helped India to also negotiate the tax treaty on new terms. Because when Mr. Modi came into power, he came into power on the critical sort of premise that corruption must be done away with. And therefore, all these kinds of tax exemptions, which were also resulting into, a situation where a lot of money was flowing into India, and that would lead to an impact on India's foreign exchange, the currency value, and so it had different kinds of impacts on the share market, on the currency situation as well, and on our reserves, because this FDI route was being taken through Mauritius. So from 2017, this was started, and so we have kind of tweaked the terms of the treaty, and 2019 March is going to be when again there would be a change. So therefore, the kind of companies which were established, they will no longer be able to kind of get exemption from the tax which they were doing legitimately. So as a result, this particular agreement is going to come into force very soon. So I do see the visit of Prime Minister Jugnauth in this context as well. So from the corporate side, and also India extended a line of credit of $500 million to Mauritius. That was also about a year ago. And because India considers Mauritius an extremely important partner because of its location in the Indian Ocean, as I said, because both India and China are the largest trading partners of Mauritius and also investors. And if Mauritius also joins the Belt and Road in the way the other countries have, then India sort of stands to really lose out, because all of East Africa, from Mozambique right up to South Africa, are extremely important for India and India's investments into Africa.
Ma'am, the other question is that, Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is about celebration of Indian diaspora, not just in India, but on the international forum. So do you think that, this chief guest from Mauritius, Pravind Jugnauth, who shares an Indian Connect, will be culturally also very strong and would put a lot of weightage in people-to-people connect between India and Mauritius?
Yes, of course, because, as I said, that India's 68% of the population of Mauritius is of Indian origin, and to bring back our diaspora and to mainstream them into, bringing in real investment and to, sort of bring in come into with joint ventures in India is extremely important. So therefore, why we are having these, various states are having their summits, and as Vibrant Gujarat also just happened, it's all about the Make in India story, which has not happened so far to the, in the manner in which it was projected, because investment slowed down, and this was, of course, a result of byproduct of GST and demonetization. And when real investment slowed down, manufacturing activity slowed down, and in today's times, if India has to, sort of attain its position in the global scenario, then it has to start doing something to sort of revamp the job situation. So therefore, bringing in foreign direct investment, that's why you can see countries like Norway, Norway wants to come into India for shipbuilding because of Sagarmala, coastal infrastructure, marine infrastructure, is ocean kind of, the resources are getting a lot of importance. And it is for this reason that India needs foreign investment to come in. India needs to bring in and to sort of mainstream its own NRIs, its own people who are in different countries. And what better than a country like Mauritius? Right. And therefore, in Varanasi, we are going to have a lot of cultural sort of performances, a lot of cultural events. ICCR people are very closely involved. And it's all about, the resurgence of India, and India as, being one of the fastest growing economies, expected to reach a GDP of $10 trillion by 2030. We cannot reach the $10 trillion of GDP by 2030 unless our manufacturing sector gets a real boost, a real shot in the arm. And for that, we need foreign direct investment in real terms. We need all these countries to really sort of, to come in to India. And because India is being looked at very well as a market of 600 million middle-class consumers. And that's why everybody wants to sell to India. But India must improve its competitiveness. And for improving its competitiveness, we need to sort of, bring in the best of technology. And we need our Indian industrialists to also partner with some of the best, technology-driven companies from abroad, so that we can really help the Make in India growth story.
Thank you, ma'am, for talking to us. So this was Reena Marwa saying that, of course, we would have cultural events and performances at Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, but this visit from Prime Minister of Mauritius would also give a lot of weightage to our economic cooperation, our FDI cooperation, and our maritime cooperation. Sagar Gupta, ETV Bharat, New Delhi.